question.
Sure.
Is the assessment of the White House that inflation has finally peaked?
So look, I know that I know the CPI data came out today, as I just laid out this morning. Look, so what I will say is that we're making progress on fighting inflation, and that's good news. That's good news for hardworking families. That's incredibly important that we see that, and we're seeing that in this data. And I kind of said this at the top, but I'll reiterate it here. Annual inflation is at the lowest level that we have seen in more than 2 years. That's since March of 2021, and it has fallen for 11 months, and in less than half of what it was this past June, the June before this one, clearly. And wages has rose over the last year. So all of that is important. Gas prices is down by $1.40. That's because of the work that this president has done. If you think about his investment in America, if you think about his economic policy, how he wants to make sure that we're building an economy that builds from the bottom up, middle out, that is what you've seen. And I have said, and he has said many times, when it comes to his economic policy, lowering costs is his number one priority. So this is important. We're fighting inflation. We're seeing progress, and this is going to be incredibly important for Americans across the country.
So just to continue on inflation, we'll get another one after that. One of the components of the inflation data showed that rent prices are still sticky. They're just not responding the way that you hoped that they had. It's starting to remind some people of the comment that inflation was going to be transitory. So for a long time, the expectation has been that housing prices and rental prices would come down, and they just haven't. Are you starting to get worried that they're not going to come down, or what the implications are, and what can you do?
So, look, we know, and it's a good question, we know housing affordability is a challenge for families. And the good news is that we are starting to see a cooling in the housing market, so that's incredibly important. And also, that is why the president has taken extra steps, right? You've heard us over the last 2 years talking about the housing supply action plan that the president put forth to help close the housing supply shortfall that we have seen in the last 5 years, making it easier to use the American Rescue Plan funds to increase the supply of affordable housing, which is another part of the president's plan as it relates to lowering costs when it comes to housing or dealing with the housing market, releasing a blueprint for renters' Bill of Rights and a set of federal actions to make the rental market fairer, and calling on Congress to provide additional incentives for housing construction and support low-income families. So, look, we get it. We understand what families are going through. Again, the housing market is cooling, so that's important. But the president has taken extra steps over the last 2 years to deal with the affordability aspect as it relates to housing.
So are you considering additional actions since the housing prices don't seem to be responding?
So I don't have any additional actions to announce at this time, but I mean, I just laid out 4 real, constructive, comprehensive, substantive actions that this president has taken over the last 2 years to deal with certainly issues that American families have to deal with when it comes to affordable housing.